Today, I'm really pulling back the curtain on Mystique Awakening as a brand, a business, as a version of me, as the person who I am embodying. And this was really inspired by one of my clients who was participating in the self-healing game plan free live stream that I have over in my Mystique Awakening community. And after that live stream, they messaged me and they were like, "How did you clear out everything that you needed to in order to heal? Like, how did you clear out and almost like block the noise of what is happening externally, what's going on internally in order to move the needle forward towards that lifestyle that you want to live or towards that person who you actively are trying your best to embody?" And I basically told them my whole entire story of, listen, it definitely was not easy. There was a lot of clearing that I had to do, and there was a lot of steps in the process, and some of those steps were very, very murky. So I'm going to lay all of my cards on the table here. If you are someone who's followed the brand for a long time and supported me for years, thank you so much. This is going to be a deep dive into essentially how Mystique Awakening was born. And if you listen closely and you re-listen and re-listen and re-listen and you take notes, you will literally have a step-by-step process of at least how I was able to clear and heal my energy to become the person who I am today. And you are able to take those little clues of success and bring them into your own life and watch your life transform, watch your identity shift, watch your lifestyle become the one that you were always born to experience. That's exactly why you have those desires in your heart. You don't have that heart's desire for no reason. You have that calling, and it will always keep calling, whether you actually fulfill it or not. And if you're a part of the Mystique Awakening world, if you're part of this movement of awakening and healing and taking that healing into your own hands, then I know that you're someone who is active in embodying that lifestyle, that you are someone that is going to listen to that calling, that you are a conscious leader, you're a healer, you're a visionary, and you're going forth in that mission. So let's rewind all the way back to about 2018, 2019. I had moved across the country to a different state from my hometown, which is the first time I move across state lines. And I was in a partnership with someone romantically who at that time I thought was like my absolute person, right? I was like, yes, like we're moving across the country, we're doing all these things, it's so new. And I really felt like this is it, like this is the start of the rest of my life. And in reality, it was, but not in the ways that I went into it thinking. And so hindsight is always 2020, right? And I, in that moment of having such great enthusiasm for this new chapter in my life, in that moment of feeling so in love, in that moment of wanting to really reinvent who I was and reinvent my life and start this new business. At the time, I was a makeup artist. So I was like, yes, I'm going to do all these things and I'm going to be in California. It's going to be amazing. And I just had this like wild abandonment. It's like in the tarot when you have that Fool card where it's like, yes, I'm so excited to do all these things. But at the same time, there's like this ignorance is bliss kind of energy where you really don't know that you're about to fall off of a cliff. But when you do fall off of that cliff, you learn so many lessons on the way down. And then when you're actually down and you're hitting that rock bottom, you find your way out because you build your own ladder, you build your own step stool, you build your own life from there. And that's exactly what happened to me. So around 2018, 2019, I was really understanding through this relationship dynamic all of the traumas that I had through my childhood. Like they just kept flaring up over and over and over again. I was realizing that I was someone who was like a high functioning, anxious person. I was always kind of like physically unwell where it was like I wasn't eating all that much. I would eat, and when I would eat a lot, but like it wasn't necessarily an eating disorder or anything like that. It was just I had a strange relationship to food where I would spend the majority of my day not eating, and then when I would eat a lot. And that was because I was running on stress. Like I would wake up not hungry, and my cortisol levels were so high that I was just so stressed and so anxious the whole entire day until obviously I would like crash at night and like go to sleep and I would redo that process all over. So not only was I anxious, not only was I stressed, but I was definitely burnt out emotionally because I was not able to identify many of the emotions that I was feeling. I wasn't able to process these emotions all the way through my being. And so what happened from there is it kept spiraling over and over and over again. So imagine living with a romantic partner who is also not okay mentally, not okay emotionally, and we're just kind of blind, to our own traumas, to our own triggers, trying to coexist and be in this habitat that's all our own, and have that isolation from our community, from our support system. So it was just two people deeply unhealed, deeply flawed, trying to make something of themselves. And so through that dynamic, I just kept getting triggered of all these things, and we would have fights and we would not have solutions to these fights. And I was increasingly becoming aware of, yes, although I was a part of that relationship, the person who I was with was in such a state of mind that they were declining over time. And I wasn't really realizing that as I was inclining, I guess, over time, because I was taking responsibility, radical responsibility over my own life. So when I realized, like, hey, I have a high functioning, anxious, identity. Like I am just always, always burning myself out, always thinking of all the wrong things that are happening in the future, responding and reacting to things that happened in my past as if they were happening right now. So I was experiencing some light symptoms of PTSD from all my childhood trauma. I was seeing the similarities between the relationship dynamic that I was currently in and the relationship that I had growing up, and the lack of support, or the support that I did get but didn't feel like it was fulfilling enough. And there was just so many aspects and so many nuances that I was realizing about myself. I was like awakening to the fact that, like, hey, I'm not okay. I've been functioning, but I'm not okay. Like I am using external validation as my primary source of validation. So when I go to work and I'm happy and I'm on hyperdrive and I'm just running on straight cortisol and anxiety, let's like get through the day, and I'm like over giving and I'm getting undercompensated for it. Like I don't care because everyone around me knows I'm a good worker. Like I have good work ethic and like they can rely on me. And yeah, I'll take your shift. It doesn't even matter. It's okay. Like even though I'm exhausted, or even though it's my only day off in the past 2 weeks, like yeah, sure, I'll take it. And it was just constantly in autopilot that I was conditioned into. And this sent me over, the course of a whole year being there in California, this sent me into a deep depression. And this was my fourth depression cycle that I had been in, where I was getting in depression, but then I was getting out and getting in and getting out. And I was realizing that even if I was getting out of the depression, times in the past before 2018, 2019, it wasn't necessarily that I was healing myself. It was just that I was like choosing other things to focus on, and then like feeling that kindling fire of more passion. So whether it was a new job or a new relationship, or I was moving, like I would use all these things of like, oh, well, this is a good thing that's happening in my life. I'm like no longer depressed, but it was always like hidden underneath all those layers of excitement. And so it was becoming unhidden again during this time in my life. And around 2019, I said, enough is enough. Like I'm anxious, I'm depressed, and I'm experiencing symptoms of PTSD. Like I'm so anxious that I'm having shooting, stabbing pains in my heart. I have no idea what's going on. I believe I'm having a heart attack. I'm in the bath, like crying my eyes out because I'm like, what is happening to my body? Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm breaking out into hives. I'm having like fight after fight after fight with my partner. I don't feel safe in my own skin. I don't feel safe in my own home. I don't feel safe in my own mind. And I knew, I was like, something has to change, something has to give. And so from that point on, I was like on a search. Like I told the universe, listen, please help me. Like anything that's out there, please assist me. Like this was before the time I knew like about spirituality. I had no idea, right? This is before the time I knew about a spiritual team or a higher self or spirit, like or energy healing. Like I had absolutely no idea of any of it. I was just running off of old programming and old conditioning that had allowed me to survive this far, but Definitely, I was not thriving by any means. I was just kidding myself. Honestly, for so many years of my life, for like 20 plus years of my life, I was kidding myself every single day that I was the person that I wanted to be, or I was living the life that I wanted to live. And I'm just watching myself not fulfill my ambitions of running my own business as a makeup artist. I was still working for a boutique. I was kidding myself by being in this relationship with someone who was not really good for me at the end of the day. And we were just trauma bonded, plus having that karmic relationship dynamic as well. Classic avoidant and anxious attachment styles. And then they were also a narcissist on top of that. And I don't say that lightly. Like they had many different things, but I felt like this was like my one person because in all the ways that they were hurt or wounded, my hurt and my wounds complemented that. So not only am I like fighting for my life inside my own mind and body and soul, but I'm like fighting for my life in many ways in this relationship, but completely blinded to it. And honestly, it still lasted way longer. Like I still needed to unveil many layers of that. And I touch on this aspect of the relationship that I was in so heavily because this was a catalyst as well. And I normally don't talk about a lot of the relationship issues that I've had in my past because I don't always feel like it's prevalent to the healing journey for what I teach and for others, unless someone's going through a relationship dynamic that I'm like, oh yeah, I understand what this is like. Let's go ahead and heal it this way. But I do feel like it's important to tell you right now because I told you, like, we're bare bonesing it. Like, we are definitely just going all in and taking all the layers off of what you think Mystique Awakening is and who I am and getting straight to the core, right? Because this is like my villain origin story, except for it's not a villain, it's like my hero's journey. And so through that partnership, I had a lot of moments of realization and they came much later, but this was like one of the first times I was like, okay, like I'm gonna work on myself and I'm proclaiming to the universe and something's gotta give and I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it took me being sick and tired to actually make a change. And I said, okay, I'm cutting out all substances that I've been taking, like anything recreational, like I'm no longer participating in. I'm just going to be like sober. I'm going to do what it is that, I think is going to be healthy for me and I'm just going to charge forward. And I gave myself 3 months of that where I didn't know what I was doing, but I was making a proclamation to the universe that I wanted change and I wanted change now. And I feel like that is such a pivotal moment to be in your healing journey in general, because that is letting the universe know, like, I am making a difference. I am making a change. I am taking different action. And I am going to see that return on investment. I'm going to see a different result because of this change. And if everything that I've been doing lately has amounted to this reality, and I don't like the way that this reality is, you bet I'm going to make some sort of offer to the universe and exchange what it is that I have been doing to get myself here to create new tools and to create a space for the universe to then come in and allow it or them, the spiritual team that I had to advance me, to show me the resources, to illuminate that path. Now, again, I did not know that I had a spiritual team. So I was just working with pure magic in the universe at that point and my own sheer will, right? I was like, I know that I get to make these decisions for myself and for my life, and it's got to be mind over matter, baby. And I was like, if it's just me, then like let me do something different. And once I proclaimed that to the universe, I'm not even joking, like within the week, I went to my job at the boutique that I was working at, and I was with my two coworkers, and then another person came into the store who had worked there previously but was no longer working there. They had got out of that boutique. They had been starting their own independent hairdressing salon, like all these things. And they like were looking so chic in their outfit and they had this magnetism about them. They had this like aura. And my coworkers at the time were like, "Oh, we miss you. We want you back. Like, how you been? You just had a baby. Oh my God." And like all of these stories were being shared and going back and forth, and I didn't know this person personally. Like I didn't work with them when they were here, and so I'm just like, wow, like you guys really are vibing with this one person. Like, yeah, you're making her seem like so cool. Like, who the heck is she? It's like you see that kind of person walk into your life and you're just like, oh my gosh, when I grow up I want to be you. And so I went to the back room. I was taking my lunch and she came back and she was like, hey, like how are you, like what's your name, and getting to know me. And for whatever reason, reason. I don't know really why we got on this topic, but I just said, yeah, I'm like sober. I'm doing what I can to like get my mind right, to get like my emotions right. And I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm trying my best. And she was like, wait, okay, so have you ever heard of the law of attraction? And I was like, this sounds so familiar, but I have no idea what that is. And I now know that it sounded so familiar because it was part of my path. Like that was such a pivotal milestone. Like that is the first milestone that I remember having from the universe as a confirmation of we hear you, we see you making these changes, we know you're about your shit. And so we're going to send you someone that will help awaken you. And you're gonna have many different times in your life, by the way, that different things awaken you or trigger you to wake up. And that was mine. That was one of mine. And they were like, go read the book, Abraham Esther Hicks. It's gonna change your whole entire life. And I was like, okay. So I went and I tried to find the book. I couldn't find the book at my local library. I wasn't gonna buy it because at that time I did not have enough money to literally even buy that kind of book. And I decided to go online and research. And so I was finding Abraham Esther Hicks videos. I was learning about the law of attraction. I learned about meditation. I was like, oh, this is what meditation is. Like, it's not some like weird woo-woo thing, because people always was saying growing up, meditation is so hard. It's like nearly impossible. You have to be a monk to be able to do it. And like, if you don't do it right, it's not going to work. And then all those things were debunked like immediately in my mind once I started doing more research. But I learned about manifestation, I learned about meditation, I learned about all these things. And from there, I was like, oh my God, like this is absolutely amazing. And I was like, wow, I'm the creator of my own reality. Like I created my anxiety. And it was so like liberating at that time for me because I was like, it's not just something that's happening to me. I was such a victim for so many years in my life. And I now knew that I could deconstruct that. And I could deconstruct that knowing that I was the one who was causing it in the first place. Like, yes, we have these external experiences that can trigger us and make us feel a type of way, but it's up to us to be able to take that emotion, that energy in motion, and then do something different with it, whether we are processing it, identifying it, filtering it through our body, or we are using that energy in motion as a catalyst to alchemize that energy and turn it into something completely different. So I was like, if I have immense amount of anxiety, I could have immense amounts of abundance because I could just change that anxiety energy and alchemize it and transmute it into something else. And I'm just like, of course, full on like spiritual awakening, but it wasn't a spiritual awakening all the way yet. We're going to get to that. This was like a precursor. This was like preheating the oven, okay, of my spiritual awakening. I wouldn't even really call this necessarily the spiritual awakening that really created Mystique Awakening as a whole. This was just like really an appetizer, if you will, to the entree that is the spiritual awakening that I will share with you. And when I found this out, I went to my partner and I was like screaming and jumping up and down, like, I'm the creator of my universe. Like, I can do this. Like, I can be mentally healthy. And like, I took a lot of blame and I had a lot of guilt for the fights that I had in that relationship, even though looking back on it, again, hindsight is 2020, not all of those things were my fault. And a lot of the fights that would come were from my intuition that I was ignoring and that I was being gaslit by. And it's not to say that, like, oh my gosh, that partner was like the terrible, most worst partner in the whole entire world and everything was their fault. No, I understand that it takes two to tango. And I know that I had a lot of responsibility in the ways that things were shifting dynamic wise. And if they were shifting for a positive, way or for a negative way. But in reality, I took on the brunt of the shame and of the guilt and of the responsibility of that relationship when in reality I was just being gaslit the whole entire time and didn't even know it. And I had my energy drained every single day. I'm pretty sure I had my energy drained like the moment that I met this person, but I was mistaking that for some sort of shared energy, right? Because I was getting energy, I was feeling lit up, I was feeling happy, but in reality, I was falling in love with who I was in the name of a relationship, not necessarily like, oh my gosh, this person is so great. They're improving me. They're helping me. They were really putting a lot of pressure on me, and every single thing that they weren't able to heal or alchemize within themselves became like my issue and it was projected onto me. And so I'm like questioning who the hell I am and all these things. And so when I went to them, I was like, oh my God, yes, I can like fix this. I can fix myself. And if I fix myself, I'll fix this relationship and it's going to go well and everything's going to work out. And I could just remember them like not giving a shit. Like I remember them like, oh yeah, that's great. Like, okay, you can fix it. So fix it. Like I remember they called me a parasite. because it's just so crazy. And I laugh at it now because I'm just like, oh my God, like if I were the me who I am today, the Mystique Awakening that exists right now, and you would like put me or insert me or plop me into that time of my life, I would have like completely handled the situations so differently. And I would have been just like, screw you, like I have self-worth now, and all these things. But they called me a parasite. And I remember like that shook me to my core. And they were like, yeah, your anxiety, your mental health issues, your emotional and like issues, like you're a parasite essentially. And like you have to like kill that parasite and then we can be like a better couple. And I was like, this is literally insane. I was just having like a beautiful experience of having like this almost like spiritual awakening or just understanding that I'm the creator of my universe, that I can, take healing into my own hands and make a different life for myself. And I'm so happy and I'm so excited that you're like calling me a parasite. So it's just so crazy. And I ignored it at that time. I remember thinking at the time, like, that is such a fucked up thing to say to somebody. I was like, that is the most fucked up thing I think I've ever heard anyone say to anybody else, especially in a moment of like pure excitement and joy. Like, you just are designed to like kill my light. And I say these things because I know that so many of us have that person or people in our lives that when we're trying to work on themselves, they're just like the most negative Nancy person. They are like actively trying to like tear us down and bring us down to their level in hell, which is like not where we want to be. And it's like we want to be anywhere else but there, right? Like we already have our own hell that we have to go ahead and allow ourselves to heal through and like get to a place where it feels like heaven on earth. Like I don't want to be brought down to like your hell. Like I already got a hell that I'm like working with, integrating, and like allowing myself to understand like why does this kind of hell exist in my life and what can I do to shift out of this experience and how can I be grateful for the hell that I've created or that has been created for me and move forward with it, in a lighter way, in a more positive way. So I'm just like being dragged down to like hell and I'm while I'm trying to like get myself out of my own personal hell. And so what I decided to do every single day for a whole entire year. So now this is like in the mid to late 2018 all the way down to like the later 2019. So right before the pandemic. I decided to meditate every single day. I decided to contact my higher self and my spiritual team every single day. And I never asked them for anything. If I did, it was only for them to help heal me or to protect my energy. But I didn't ask them for manifestations yet. I was asking like the universe for manifestations, but like I never really asked them for like clarity. I never asked them for a manifestation. I never asked them for like guidance or next steps or resources. I just wanted to engage in that kind of conversation with them where I'm like, hey, spirit guides, like, I know you're here watching my every move. Like, you're here to support me. Thank you so much. Like, these are the highs and the lows of my day. This is what like made me feel really happy. Normally, I don't feel this way. Normally, I'm more anxious. Like, the shooting, stabbing pains in my heart went away, and I just want to share that with you. So, for a whole entire year, I was establishing a relationship with my spiritual team. And that is so important because now when you come into my programs, like my 6-month private mentorship or my Beyond Balance program, you will always hear me say, if you haven't really established that connection or relationship to your spirit guides just yet, make sure that you're doing so, but don't go ahead and ask them for like $1 million right away. Like if you don't know the language of your intuition, if you don't know what your spirit guides or your higher self sound like in your own mind and your own energy, and you're going forth and asking them for all these manifestations, it's like, how would, I know that they are benevolent beings and they live in a different kind of plane and reality than we do. But at the same time, the way that you do anything is the way that you do everything. Okay. And so if you are looking to reap the benefits of what that spiritual team can do for you, then why in your mind do you think it's okay to just like first things first? Like, hello, nice to meet you, spirit guides. Give me this thing. I'm demanding all these things. And like you're already coming to it with an energy of neediness. You're already coming to it with an energy of lack and scarcity. And when you're communing with your spiritual team, those are not the energies that get their attention anyway. And that kind of energy that you're putting forth will literally block you from your blessings. And that's how you're getting in your own way. So I knew this because of the research that I was experiencing and that I was teaching myself essentially. And because I was able to talk to my spirit guides, they would talk to me back about things. They would already give me some resources. They would give me different ways to communicate with them. They would say, hey, it's okay if you do this, it's okay if you do that. And that way it felt more like a conversation rather than me just trying to pray to the universe, like, please do these things for me, or like, please, la, 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 la. Like, I already had my moment where I was like on my hands and knees, like, please give me a solution. And then the universe, bam, like came and gave me law of attraction, came and gave me meditation, came and gave me energy healing. And then I was like, okay, well, let me just take all these resources that you just gave me and do something with them. And then I learned about my energy centers. I learned about my root, my sacral, my solar plexus, my heart space, my throat, my third eye, and my crown. And when I learned about these energy centers, guys, the game completely changed for me. And that's why I harp on this every single live stream. I'm talking about every single mini Reiki session that I do. I'm talking about your energy centers. Anything that you come to me with a question, I'm like, where do you feel that in your body? You're having anxiety, where do you feel that in your body? You're feeling depressed, where do you feel that in your body? You're feeling fear, where do you feel that in your body? You're feeling stress, where do you feel that in your body? You're feeling happiness and joy, where do you feel that in your body? And we will then relate it to an energy center. And I think that this kind of work is so important. And I've stayed here in this realm of the energy centers because when you know how to utilize and hone in on your energy and activate it or unblock it or balance it if it's been out of balance and out of whack for years or your whole entire life, that's when you tap into your power. That's when you can use that energy and make mountains move in your life. You can shift your identity. You can create realities, create worlds with that energy. And so if you're going through your spiritual journey and you're like, I'm healing, I'm doing these things, and you're not really feeling that click, you're not really seeing anything shift for you majorly, like maybe you get a manifestation here or every now and again, but it's not really, something that you actually wanted, or you get the manifestation and then it leaves you right away. And now you're feeling in lack again because you're like, oh, I didn't deserve it. Like it went away from me. I lost that person, or I lost that job, or I lost a car. Like, no, this is an energy that you have. It's spiritual energy that you have. You have both that electric energy from Father Sky and the divine and the universe and God and source and creator. And then you have the magnetic energy from Mother Earth. We are both spirit and matter. And so when we have both of these energies flowing within us properly and healthily, because every single one of our energy centers is activated and glowing and ready and flowing properly, once we have that flow of balanced energy, that's when we feel the peace. That's when we feel the harmony. That's when we're in the flow externally in our life too, not just internally, but it starts to reflect externally in all the relationships that we have. Right? And so we start to feel this different frequency. We start to feel this different alignment. We start to feel this different kind of consciousness. And that's why I always, always, always start there. So if you are energy healing yourself, or you're on a healing and spiritual journey, and you're wondering why things are not making massive shifts in your life, why you're not quantum leaping, why this person keeps bothering you, why all your work relationships are always bad, and then you feel like, you're going to get fired or you're in trouble or it's not working out and you have to go find a new job and you're starting the cycle all over again, and you're not connecting everything back to your energy centers, in my world, you're doing something wrong. I don't care about all the other coaches or mentors or energy healers. In my world, you're doing something wrong. If you're ignoring your energy, but you're trying to use your energy, hello, what world are we in? It's not gonna work, baby. So that's why I harp on it so much. Every single day for a whole entire year, I worked on healing my energy centers, and I knew to start from the bottom. I knew. Now, is it the case for everyone? Do you always start with healing the root? Every single client that I have, or, for every single particular situation, that someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I need this kind of healing, or if you're healing yourself, I say start at the root. It's going to be different for everyone, but pretty much, I would say 98% of the time, you want to start from the root. Why? Because your base is everything. Your base, your foundation, that's your security, that's your safety, that's your protection, that's your bandwidth for abundance. That's how you literally feel secure. So if you're not feeling rock solid in life, you're afraid to take these leaps of faith, you're dealing with a lot of anger issues, you're feeling irritable, you're always blaming other people, it's always other people's fault for things, you're in that victimhood mentality, you're in that survival mode, you can't get out of it, something's going on with your root, okay? That's where your fears are. That's where your shadow is. And so when we think of your energy centers and we think of the human body, I also want you to associate it with a plant, okay? you have this beautiful soil, and then you plug into it a seed and you cover that seed with that soil. And then you water it, a little sun, you water it, a little sun, you water it, a little sun. You're nurturing it, right? You're visiting that every single day. You're not smothering it, but you're visiting it every single day, keeping tabs on it, seeing what it needs, if it needs anything at all. You're maintaining it. And then the roots start to grow. The roots start to grow. And the roots get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the soil. And they're connecting with the magnetic energy, the detoxing energy, the rebalancing energy of Mother Earth. And then what happens from there? It starts to sprout. So it starts underground where you cannot even see it yet. And then it'll start to sprout little by little up into the sky, up into the divine, up into, that universal energy, if we're taking it in the way of the human body, right? So it has to start healthily at the root before it has the ability to climb up. All right. And so that's what I decided to do for myself. And I would use Shakti Mudra because I was guided by my own higher self. Like, this is what you need to do. Create a portal with your hands. And I just intuitively knew what that meant for whatever weird reason. But I'm telling you, I was meditating so much that I was just getting all of this universal information and it felt good to me. And that was the first time I was feeling goodness that was raw, organic, and healthy. And it was completely cultivated just by me and this connection that I was strengthening with my spiritual team. So Shakti Mudra, your hands look like a triangle. Your fingers are up at the top. Your thumbs are connected at the bottom of the triangle. And I would go place it where my root was. So like my sits bone area. And I would just close my eyes and I would breathe and I would meditate and I would breathe and I would meditate and I would ask my higher self to come forth and I would give them permission to come forth and bring their energy. And they said, just purge, just purge, just purge. And every exhale that you take, you just see all this gunk come out of your root. And you don't even have to know what these emotions are. You don't even have to know what the memories are. You don't even have to go backtrack and time travel to see like who did you dirty, like anything that's in there. It's just waste. Like when you take out the trash from your house, you don't have to go and like look in there and say, oh, here's a banana peel and here's some peanut butter and here's some aluminum foil and here's this like one rotting thing that I put in here a week ago. You don't do that when you take out the trash. You just take out the fucking trash. And so I was taking out the trash with my own energetic centers. Okay. And I could see within my own third eye and imagination all this like gook come out, like this brown, dirty, like muddy energy just come out. And it was like, ugh, like just seeing that in my third eye was like so gross. And I was like, at the same time, so hyped because I was like, all this shit is coming out, you know? And I was like, yes, like I just felt energetically like something was shifting within me, something was really happening. And what I was doing was energy healing myself. And I didn't even realize it in that moment. I was just like, okay, energy centers, and they work like this. And if they're in balance, my life is going to become better. Like I didn't even have the right words for it. I just had this vision of myself that was happier, that was healthier, that was confident, that was self-led. Like I just had a bigger vision for who I was, and I knew I could not embody that. And once I found out that my energy was the culprit, my energy being blocked was what was sabotaging me and how I was getting in my own way. I said, screw this. We're going to flip the script and we're going to do this, you know? And once I started to see all that gook come out, from there, it became a little silent. And then my higher self was like, okay, now you're ready for the medicine. And I was like, okay, what? And then I literally saw white light just flow into that energy center. Now, this is my own experience. This is my own journey. But through this journey that I was taught, this is now what I teach others because I took this outside of myself and started showing other people the same process. And it was like a scientific experiment. I was like, let me know if this works for you. Let me know if this works for you. Like, how do you feel? Like, was the shift happening in that moment? And then they would come and reach out to me like, yes, I came to you because I was in lack, I was in scarcity. I was scared because I lost my job and now I just got a new job. Or now, like, the unexpected money came to me out of nowhere. Or now I have more self-love. Like, I've been doing this every single day. So I knew it didn't just work for me. And it was just like my own independent solo journey, that this works for others as well. And this is literally like the base. I'm giving you guys step by step what I teach my clients for hundreds and thousands of dollars. So please make sure that you're taking note of this if you're wanting to change your whole entire life. Okay. So then I started seeing this white light come into this root. And then I just felt like so liberated. I felt so free. I felt so energized. I was like, what is this magical experience? This is so crazy. And then I went and I did that for every single one of the energy centers. Every single day for a whole entire year. I was pairing that with detox baths. So I was using the element of water. And at that time, I put a little salt in the water, like Epsom salt or like pink Himalayan salts. I would now suggest maybe refrain from using salts if you're going to do a detox bath, unless you're trying to like soak your muscles. But if you're going through something like a deep depression, you're going to want to make sure that you're not infusing the water with salts, but you're infusing it with something else. And so I know that now, but back in that time, just letting you know what I did. I did use Epsom salts. I did use pink Himalayan salts, but the salt that I had also contained lavender, and so it was very floral, right? And then I had my essential oils. I had some peppermint in there. I was feeling really good. I had my crystals around me, and every single day for about 2-ish, maybe 3 months, I would sit in that bath water, turn off all the lights, only have colorful lights, have some music, detach, because me and my partner at the time were in such a bad part of our relationship. Like now we're like at the end of this 1 year where I'm doing the energy healing every single day. So now like the 2 to 3 months that are like completing that 1 year, me and my partner are not even talking to each other anymore. Like you live in the living room, I will take the bedroom, and like we will ignore each other until our lease is up or until we move out or until we figure out what this relationship is. And so it was literally awful. I was living with a person and cohabitating with a person where we weren't even speaking. But of course, that was kind of good for me. So I was like, I don't mind that. I'm the one who initiated that. And I wouldn't say that that's necessarily healthy, but I was on a journey to heal myself and not care if I was trapped essentially in a relationship or in a home with someone who is toxic. And I share this with you because if I could do that, you could do that. If I could cut out somebody from my life while I still had to live with them. I'm not saying like cut everybody off and like, don't talk to anybody and like ice them out. No. But in this particular case, I needed to do that for my own mental and emotional safety. And so I created sacred space for myself. And that sacred space included that detox bath where I would sit there for like 2 hours straight every single day for 2 or 3 months. And I would just imagine all of the energy that was like hanging on around me that was not serving me. I was just like, anything that's bad or evil in me, anything that's like anxious or depressed, like, please just like let it go, like, let it go, let it go, let it go. And I just kept doing that every single day. And I would see, I wasn't even like bathing. Okay. Like, I want to get this like straight so you guys have like a visual. Don't envision me in the shower or like the bath, but like, you know what I mean? Like, just envision the water itself when I was proclaiming to, the universe or that experience or to my higher self and my spiritual team, like, I'm just letting go. I'm letting go of all of it. I'm letting go of all of it. I'm telling you, I wasn't scrubbing with soap or anything like that. I could see the water turn from clear to murky, like to brown, to like a brown gray, like dirty bath water, obviously. But usually that brown gray happens when you're scrubbing. And of course, I know that like some dead skin cells were probably in there after having a 2 hour soak. Like I'm not an idiot, but I'm telling you that energetically, that was definitely removing a lot because at that time I had already scrubbed. So I would go in the shower, I would scrub, 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 and I would rinse the shower and then I would go into the bathtub and like have just the bath. And after that, I would do like another little rinse again because I don't like soaking. You know what I'm saying? Feels weird on my skin if I don't like go and scrub after. So I knew it wasn't because I was dirty. Like, girl, I could not be that dirty. So I knew that it was the emotion, it was the energy that was lingering. And again, I didn't know at the time. Hindsight 2020. I will always say that. But now I know that I was cleansing my energetic field. I was cleansing my energetic field using the element of water. And it was so purifying and it was so beautiful and it was so lovely. And I was just like obsessed with how good I was feeling. And even if I was crying in the bath, even if I was having a horrible, terrible day, like when I came out of that bath, I felt like a new woman. I felt like I had more stability. And mind you, around, let's say, 1 to 2 months after I found out about the law of attraction. We're backtracking just a little bit. Around 1 to 2 months of learning the law of attraction, that everything moves in my own reality, I decided to quit my job at the boutique. And I was like, I'm going to go all in on my makeup artistry business and career. I'm going to go all in. Like, I'm going to make it work for myself. And this is going to be the best thing ever. So now I'm like doing this and I'm like creating trainings online and I'm trying to book these clients. And then the pandemic hit. So now I'm like depressed because I can't touch faces. Like now I don't have a job, right? And I can't even really have my business. And I'm doing my best to like sell to people online and do online trainings and online master classes of like how to do your makeup, like for your event, because everyone needed like a makeup artist, but they couldn't have a makeup artist around that time. So I became severely depressed. I would not shower. This is before the detox fast, right? So I would not shower. I would not brush my teeth. I would not brush my hair. I would not change out of my pajamas. I would wear my pajamas for like 3 to 4 days straight. I would not get out of the house. I would sleep all day long or cry all day long. I would barely eat. I would barely drink water. Like I was just asleep. And if I wasn't asleep, I was crying or like just zoning the fuck out and like dissociating. Okay. So I went from that state of being to saying, okay, like, let me just still like clear my energy centers. Like, let me just still do this. And that was about the only thing I could do that day was sit up, go to the ground, like literally roll off of my bed onto the ground. And because I couldn't even get up, like I couldn't even really like stand up. I was so weak, right? And I would just like still like, let's do this energetic work. Let's find some strength. Let's connect to my, spirit guides. And then I would crawl back into bed. And then I would wake up again and I would roll over the next day and I would plop on the floor. And I'm like, okay, let's work on this. Let's do this. Let's connect to my, let's meditate. And then I would hop on the bed and I would sleep. And then I would wake up and then I would roll on the floor. It's a new day. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, you know what? Because I didn't have the strength to get the yoga mat. I didn't have the strength to do anything. So I was like, I'm tired of like rolling and falling off the bed. I told you because I couldn't get up. I was literally physically weak from all of the emotions that I had not processed or purged yet. And I was purging them consistently, but it wasn't enough of an impact yet at that time to like change my whole entire life forever. It took me little by little. And so it was just me falling on the carpet, this gross carpet that I like also was not vacuuming, right? Like just giving you a full picture. And I was like, let's work on my energy centers. And then I was like, okay, well, I kind of want a yoga mat because I'm just so tired of rolling over on this dirty carpet, but I don't want to get it because I'm just energetically not there. I don't have the strength to do so. So I would take my blanket and I would put it on the floor. I'm like, this is my yoga mat. And then I'd be done. And then I would go and I would sit on the bed and then I would take the blanket from the floor and cover myself and go back to sleep. And I did it every single day until I was like, okay, let me just do like actual yoga because I wanted a yoga mat to be able to like facilitate my healing process, but not necessarily to do yoga. But I was like, if I want to get better, with my depression, if I want to heal myself, I have to start to move my body. And I am purging, all this stuff from my energy centers and infusing and meditating, but I'm not actively moving my body. But if I move my body, I will become stronger. And so every single day, then from that point, I started doing a little bit of yoga, but it was all floor work. Like I'm telling you, Savasana. Like I wasn't doing anything crazy. I was doing like a pigeon pose. I was doing, just like the ones that were not even a downward dog yet, okay, is what I'm telling you. Just some light stretching. And then I kept doing that every single day. And then I was like, actually, I am ready to like do a downward dog. I am ready to like do a tree pose. I am ready to do like a mountain pose, a goddess pose. Like I am ready to like actually sit up for my process. This took me months. Okay. This took me months to do because not only am I healing myself and purging my own shit, but I'm purging the shit that's being given to me by my partner. Okay. At the same time, because they're not doing any of this. And so, like, and especially as a woman, when we have our monthly cycle, we're not only purging our own energy of the past 3 months, but we're taking all the energy of the home and all the energy of the pets or any kids that you have in your home, and we're purging that too every single month. Okay. And so not only am I purging for myself, but I'm purging for the whole entire house. I'm purging for 2 dogs and I'm purging for this person who's very toxic in my life. And that's why it was taking me so long to do. But then I was like, okay, let me get the yoga mat. And I get the yoga mat and I'm doing my downward dog and I'm meditating and I'm doing this and doing that. And then eventually it led to me like getting out of the house more and then eating more and then drinking more and then brushing my teeth more. I said, if I look good, I'll be happier. If I do this yoga, I'll be stronger. If I keep on meditating, my mind will be clearer. If I keep on purging these emotions, my emotions will be better. And I just kept telling myself, if I do this, I'll be better. If I do this, I'll be happier. If I do this, I'll be, at peace. If I do this, I'll have harmony. If I'll do this, like all these things. And I just kept telling myself that. So I'm like starting to glow now, right? Like now we're fast forward all the way until we did the detox baths. And after the detox baths, like I'm still doing them, but I don't really feel like I need to do them every single day. And I'm like feeling ambitious again. And I'm like, yes, I'm so ready. I'm so alive. Like this is great. And I remember there was a very specific point in where me and my partner did start to talk to each other again, but we were still kind of like, ugh, I don't know if it's safe to like fully integrate. And at that time, I was like, hey, I'm feeling so much better. Like, I think we should really talk about like our future. Like we are talking again and we're feeling a little bit better about one another. I think that we should talk about our future and like what we expect, how we expect our life to go. Like we still have more time on this lease and everything like this. And I just kept thinking like if I'm feeling really good now, I want to have a good projection of the future so I can anchor myself into that vision and then we can go there together. And I remember them looking at me in my eye, right? And they were like, yeah, sure. We can talk about that later. And then they got up and they left and went to the other room. And I was like, okay, like we'll talk about it later. Like I was so blind, you guys, like you have no idea, and like so brainwashed and so manipulated for so long. And of course, I had that anxious attachment style. So I was like, okay, they didn't seem like they want to talk about it right now, but like they'll obviously want to talk about it later, and then we'll think of like what our future looks like. And the thing is like this person did not have the balls to like break up with me. They loved having me around for all the girlfriend things, right? Whether it's like some cooking or some cleaning or just having another person to like talk to or like, all the things that come with the relationship and companionship, like they liked having me around. And at the same time, they didn't like me. So I was just like, what? Like I was so like I couldn't wrap my head around that. And so I remember feeling a very strange way after the interaction because my knee-jerk reaction and response was, okay, we'll talk about it later. It'll be great. They're just not in the mood to talk about it right now. And I remember feeling just so weird. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Let me meditate. I have like tools and resources now. Like I have access to divine universal wisdom. Like I have a whole Google like in my head, right? And so I closed my eyes and meditate. And I was like, higher self, spirit guides, like, why do I feel this way? Like, what just happened when I asked that question? Like, I'm unclear. I don't know. And then my higher self was like, my higher self, by the way, to me, is very, very sassy, very, very love and shove, very, very like older sister vibes. And that's how they always sound to me. So I know that's like my higher self coming through. And they're very like just sassy and they don't hold back and they're not ever mean, but they're just like, bitch, come on, like get the fuck up. And they do you really want to know? It's so dramatic. I remember it like if it was yesterday. I was like, yes, I want to know like why am I feeling this way? And like what does that mean? And like what what's going on? Like and I was just like thinking completely about me. Like, why am I having this response, right? They're like, do you really want to know? Because once you know this information, you cannot go back. And I was like, all right. I was like, what is the information then? They're like, okay, if you're ready, here it is. And they literally, my higher self literally just like looked me in my face because again, I'm in a meditation. They looked me in my face, they held me, my hands, and they're like, this person does not like you. Like, you might think that they love you or like you. They might even think that they like you or love you, but they do not like you. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, they don't even like themselves. They don't even love themselves. The way that they show up for themselves is obviously not the way that you would want to show up for yourself. And they were like, you can see this now because you've been doing all this work, but you've been blinded this entire time. And it's like the reason that they want you is not the reason why you want them. And it's not the reason that you think, they're literally at that point, they're like, this person is an energy vampire. They are just feeding off your energy. And the stronger that you get, you're going to start to see them act differently. And I was like, what? And I felt like there was like, I had been living in a dome. Okay. I'd been living in this like energetic dome for years. And it's just like they took the dome off and I was free. Like when you have a spider in your house and you get like the cup and the little paper plate or the napkin and you like put that cup over them and you shove the little plastic thing underneath and you're going and you're walking it outside to like unleash them. Like that is what happened to me in that moment where I was under that dome for God knows how long, just lying dormant to all of these illusions and like just believing all these illusions. And then they like revealed that and took that off. And I said, oh my God. Like I literally in that moment was like, oh my God, this person does not like me. And then I like sat there for about like an hour and a half to 2 hours while they were in the other room. And I was like replaying almost our whole entire relationship from that point all the way backwards to like to the beginning. And I was like, holy shit, this person does not like me, but they just can't get rid of me because they are feeding off of my energy. Like that is absolutely fucking insane. And from there, I decided to turn on like my bad bitch energy and like my cunt energy. And like, sorry if you hate that word, I totally get it, but like we're peeling back the layers. So this is like the truth and this is what it is. Like I turned on my cunty energy and I was just like, bet, like Bet I got this. Like now that I know the truth, I can embody a whole entire different person. Like I felt so free. I felt so alive. And it was crazy because like at that point you would think I'm absolutely devastated. No, I had lived the whole entire relationship devastated. I was done being devastated. I was ready to feel empowered and alive. And I said, this is amazing. So as I'm working on myself through those months following, I started to see that person get meaner and confused because I was no longer looking to them to validate me. I was no longer looking to them to make me happy. I was no longer looking to them as my savior. And I was my savior and I was feeling happy. And I started putting my makeup on again. And I was starting to post some videos online because I've always been someone who loves social media and like loves to post like pictures and videos and film and edit and photography. And like obviously I was a makeup artist. And so I was a makeup artist without doing my makeup for months and months and months and months and months. Like riddle me that, right? That's how you know that your energy is drained when you are passionate about something, but you're not doing that passion anymore. And it's like your soul's being sucked out of you by your environment, by your choices, by your decisions, by the people who are around you. And so that's why I always say to my clients, if you're looking to shift your energy, you have to shift your environment, you have to shift your mind, you have to shift your emotions, you have to shift all of this. Guys, I did this process. I bootstrapped it. I bootstrapped it. I didn't even know what the F I was doing. I had no mentor. Okay. I had YouTube University and my own divine connection to my intuition. And I've bootstrapped myself to where I am today. And I have been, and I will continue to do so. And I will literally die on this hill of energy healing and taking healing into your own hands because I believe that every single person should know how to heal their energy and take the healing into their own hands. Take the healing into your own damn hands. I don't know who needed to hear this today, but take this healing into your own hands, please. Please, 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 please. It's okay to love your Reiki practitioner. It's okay to love the Reiki videos. It's okay to love me. It's okay to love Mystique. It's okay to watch my videos every single night because that helps you go to sleep. But if you want to see lasting change, if you want to shift your identity, if you want to change your life, if you want to move mountains, if you want to change other people's lives, if you want to change the world, if you want to leave your mark on this world, if you consider yourself to be a conscious leader, if you consider yourself to be a healer to any degree, if you see yourself as a visionary, I need you to start to take healing into your own hands. Point blank, period, mic drop. And if there's any value that you're getting from this so far, please leave a comment. Please DM me. Please email me. Please reach out. Please step into my world. I want to hear if something and what it was, if anything at all, helped you and what it was. Okay. So moving on, I became like the baddest bitch I could possibly imagine for myself at that time. I started wearing clothes again that made me feel good. I would start to make my bed every single day. I would clean my room. I would start to brush my hair. I'm like flossing and I'm like, this is great. I'm like leaving the house. And like I wouldn't tell, my partner at the time because even though we were in such a rocky space and we had spent so many months not even talking to one another, at the same time, like we were still in a relationship. So that was still my partner at the time. And I was like going all these places and like not telling them and just like being who I was. And from that point on, they were like, okay, I feel like I'm losing her. So let me go ahead and hop on her bandwagon then. And so at that point, they were trying to do what I was doing, but it was a whole facade. So I'll spare you many details of the rest of like those few months that happened where they were just kind of like, oh yeah, like I'm totally energetic too. And I'm like so this and so that and so the other thing. And they were just like pretending to be so connected like I was to like resonate with me because like now I'm the cool kid. Like I went the whole entire relationship thinking like you're the cool kid, like you're so amazing. I just want to be in your orbit. And now they're like, I want to be in your orbit. So I completely like flipped the script and was being authentic to myself again. And I was becoming a magnet to all these different people and opportunities. And mind you, we're still in lockdown. So it's like challenging, but I'm over here still like teaching people online how to do their makeup and like creating programs and helping them out. And even at that time, which is so crazy, I've always had like this knack for helping stay-at-home moms in any capacity where like they don't have their own income. And I was like, trust me, you can make your own income. Like just learn how to do like your makeup and you can show up better for your clients or like learn how to do these things. Or if you want to become a makeup artist too, like I'll teach you. Like, and for whatever reason, like I was on Facebook groups. This is so like so crazy, but I am giving you like everything. I would go on like Facebook groups and I would go on Instagram and I would like help people through these master classes like do their own makeup. And a lot of them were like stay-at-home moms who they were feeling confidence for the very first time, you know? And it's crazy how like that has still bled into my career too. I'm like, if you're a woman and you're not making money, like make your money, you know? Like if you are a stay-at-home mom, like you're a badass and you're amazing, like still be able to like provide for yourself and look good and feel confident and like all these things. So I was doing that. And then came along my 25th birthday. Okay. So I'm like doing this year, like 24 of my life was like very pivotal. But then like year 25 comes, and this marks right around the 1 year mark, a little bit over the 1 year mark that I had been doing these spiritual practices every single day. Okay. And I remember it was my 25th birthday. We're still on lockdown. I'm having a little like miniature house party like over in my apartment at the time. And before the party actually starts, and mind you, it was a three-person party and I was a third person. So like don't, I know that we're out of like the pandemic times or whatever, but don't judge me. The party included my two dogs and two other people. I went into the bathroom and I just needed a me moment. I needed to meditate for a second. And I looked at myself in the mirror and through my own eyes, like using my eyes as a portal, I was sending a message to my spiritual team. And I said, Spirit guides, please I don't have a birthday gift that I want from you or from anyone. There's really nothing else that I want more than this to just be the best birthday I've ever lived. Like, I just want this to be the best experience ever. I just want it to be the best birthday ever. And they were like, that's all you want? And I was like, that's all I want. Yeah. Like, I've worked so hard. I'm feeling so good. I'm feeling so confident. Like, I'm a different person now. I just want this birthday, in the midst of all this isolation, in the midst of me being literally trapped with a person I don't want to be with. Like, I just want this to be the best birthday ever. Like, yeah, that's all I want. And I don't care how it comes. I don't care when it comes. Like, just please. And they're like, okay, like, wish granted, essentially. And I remember stepping out of that bathroom. And in that moment, that's when I had my spiritual awakening. That's when I had my spiritual awakening. And I remember too, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. During those times where I was in the bathtub detoxing my energy and cleansing my energy, I didn't know I was cleansing my energy really at the time. But during that time, I was still crying in the tub. And sometimes I would get out of the tub and feel good, but then, shortly after I would begin crying again. And I remember this one time I was crying on my bed and it was just like hysterical crying, like just blubbering. And I was like, I feel so much pain. I feel so alone. I feel so isolated. I feel like I'm just suffering day after day after day. I feel like I'm being tortured day after day. Like, I know, universe, that it's like not your fault. I know that it's just like all these things that I haven't been able to heal through yet. But like, I promise you, I'm going to heal these things. I promise you, I'm going to be a different person. I promise you, I'm gonna shift out of this. Like, I'm not gonna be this person forever. This is just a temporary thing. Like, I know that like I am made for so much more and I can be so much more. And I'm gonna return back home to myself. And I just know that I'm gonna find the answers to this. I'm gonna find the solution to this. And once I do, I'm going to help others. I remember saying that. I wish I marked down the day, but I remember saying that around that time before my 25th birthday. This was like a couple months before, just crying, 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 thinking this is the worst pain I feel like I've ever felt. And it feels like it's not letting go of me, but I'm doing everything that I know to do with the limited resources that I have. But I know that once I know I'm going to get out of this. That's the thing. Like, I know I can see that I can get out of this. I know it's not my forever. And once I'm out of this, and once I've figured it out step by step, I am going to give that to the world and help whoever else needs it. I'm going to give my knowledge and expertise and resources and insight, anything that I did to get out of this, I'm going to give it to the world. And that truly, in my opinion, that's when Mystique Awakening was born. I didn't have the name yet. I didn't have the business. I was still a makeup artist. I didn't have a game plan. I just had myself and my willpower and my vision for the life that I knew I was going to live, even if I didn't know how I was going to get there. I had no format. I had no system. I just had my intuition and I had my spiritual team and I had some energy healing practices and energy cleansing practices and I had myself. And I had this idea of I don't want anyone else in the world to feel the kind of pain that I'm feeling. Like if I'm feeling this immense pain, like just let me take it, like let me take this pain. If I can save someone else the same pain, if I can spare anybody else, I will, because I don't want anyone else to feel this. And if they do have to feel it, if it's something that like I cannot take away from them, then I want to be there while they're going through it. I want to be there as a companion for them, to get through this, to get out of this, and so that we can all find our own light and we can all be the person that we wanted to be. And I just remember that that was the moment that Mystique Awakening was truly born, even if I didn't know it yet. And so we're back, right? To the 25th birthday in the bathroom. I get out of the bathroom. And in that moment, I had this spiritual awakening. And it was the craziest thing that I've ever experienced still to this day. And I've experienced lots of crazy things in my life. But that was like one of the craziest things I've ever experienced. And immediately I felt an energetic shift in my being after doing all those healings and practices and cleansings for about over a year. And all of my senses were heightened. Like I felt like I could just sense the whole entire room, the whole entire house, everybody's emotions. I felt like I could hear what people were thinking, and I was able to hear what people were thinking, and I would report back to them what I just heard, and they're like, "I was just thinking that. Like, how did you know?" And I'm like, "I can literally hear your fucking thoughts." Like it's like sorry if you don't like cussing. I'm someone who cusses. I try to be better at it, but I was like, I can hear your thoughts. Like, I can hear word for word what you're saying. I started seeing people in colors and hearing things in colors and patterns and rhythms, and everything was just like so different. But I didn't think of it as me going crazy. Because I had been working on my energy centers, I had released so many fears and I was so used to the divine energy of meditation that I felt like I was in a waking meditation. I felt like I was finally like awake and alive. And I was like, I can hear your thoughts. I can feel your intentions. I know the next move that you're about to make. Like I can see where your pain is in your body. I can see like the tethers that you have emotionally. Like it was, guys, I'm telling you, it was crazy. Like it was from one moment to the next, like just boom, spiritual gifts. Okay. And it was something that had lied dormant within me, but it was that moment of awakening where I was like able to utilize all of them. And so people say like clairvoyance and claircognizance and clairsentience and clairalience, clairgustance, like all these things, right? They're like, I'm a psychic in this way, I'm a psychic in that way. So to me, at that time, I was like, is this what being psychic is? Like, am I a psychic? And I'm like realizing like everyone has this ability. Like I was no different. I was just able to use the intuition that I was receiving in other ways than just meditation. Like I could now receive this information as I was walking through life, and it lasted for, well, years until right now. I was gonna say it lasted for days, but the reason why I was going to say it lasted for days and not years at first was because all of my senses were heightened so much so that it was actually getting to be a problem. Like it was debilitating in certain ways. And where I'm like, I am smelling that this milk is expiring like 5 days before it says it's going to expire. Like I can smell the difference in the change of milk. Like that was so weird. I remember this is like weird stuff, okay? So prepare yourself. I remember losing my phone one day and I had placed it in an area of the house where I like never really would have placed it before. So I'm checking all these different areas. I'm checking all these different things. And I remember like, oh, I have a heightened like a sense of smell. I was like, what if I just like smell my way to the phone? And literally once I chose to do that, I was like, oh, I can smell my phone is in the bedroom closet. Like what? And I went and it was there. And I did that with multiple other things. And so I would have this clear tasting. I would have these moments that just dropped into my head and then they were accurate everywhere I went. If I was grocery shopping, walking down by the beach, like people's heads would just turn and look at me and like smile. And it's like they were looking at my soul. It's like I had something that was just like resonating and radiating out of me. And of course, at the same time, I was becoming more and more aware of all the toxicity that was, my partner, essentially, and how I could see the darkness radiating off of them, and I could smell like sulfur. And for some spiritualists, you may know or be familiar with like that like demon energy sometimes smells like sulfur. And I remember every single day I was like smudging the house and doing all these smoke cleanses and using candles, and I was like telling my partner, go take a shower, like I can smell you, I can smell you, like you smell so bad. And it wasn't like a physical smell, it was the energetic smell. And I'm like, what is it? It's in this house, it's all over this house. I remember literally scrubbing the walls, scrubbing the carpet. I remember taking the dogs to get a bath. Like I remember doing all the dishes. I was like, let's not cook so much like in the house. Like let's try to order something. Like I was like, what is that smell? And the smell was them. I was energetically smelling all of the toxins that were on this person. And I was like, oh my God. Once I realized that, I was like, you are the fucking problem. Like you are the problem, because whenever they would leave the house, the smell would like disappear. But when they would enter the house, that's when like it came back. I was like, you are the problem. This is so crazy. And if you can even imagine, we still did not even break up around that time because, of course, the isolation, everything like that. So with that, I was like, oh my gosh, you really are not the person for me. Like, you are making my life in so many other ways that I've not been able to see before decline. Like, you are trying to bring me down with you, even energetically. And that's my first experience with an energetic vampire that I was like, being aware of. And the more I was taking my own power back, the more I was glowing, I could see them physically deteriorating, and like their whole entire life was going to shambles. And like then they lost their job, and like we weren't really bringing in income for the both of us, and it just became something absolutely out of control, where then divine intervention came in and we became homeless. So a lot of you guys know this story. That's usually, I skip pretty much a lot of that previous part and get right to the point where I was homeless, because that was like another rock bottom for me, and that was like the low of the low. Like, I'm living in my car, I have two dogs, I have all this stuff from my apartment, I purged so many things of my apartment that I was like, I want to keep this, but I just don't think it resonates with me anymore. And obviously, I only have unlimited like space in the car and all these things. And we lived homeless for about 2 months, and we were just either going to strangers' houses and like couch surfing, or like trying to find these campgrounds and pop up a tent. And if not, then it was just the car. And so just imagine like two people with two dogs in one car, and it's just a regular ass sedan. And eventually, through that course of time, I definitely felt very free, in a lot of different ways. And it was just a moment in time that was so surreal, but everything felt like a walking or waking meditation, where even though it looked like my life was going to shit externally, internally, I was still like so confident, like blindly confident, and just going for different things in my life still. And that's when I decided to take energy healing into more of like a business sense, where I was like, okay, like I will help you understand your energy. Because mind you, now my psychic activations have been activating. And I kind of told the universe, like, hey, some of these senses are a little bit too enhanced. Can we like dull them down a little bit until I actually need them? So I was helping people connect to their intuition. I was helping people energy cleanse themselves. I was helping people learn about their energy centers. So I was just teaching them information and going through guided meditations. And I would also help them with psychic awareness. So if they had a problem in their life and they weren't able to pinpoint it, I would use my intuition and I would help them. And that's where I started to see people get results from these things. And so from there, I was like, I was like, okay, I want to do all these things. Like, this is my calling now. Like, I was like, abandoned the makeup artistry. Like, oh, we gotta reprogram your whole entire life. And so from there, I was like, I think energy healing or something spiritual is my calling. Like, I felt this in my whole entire soul and my being. It was my purpose, my mission. Like, I was like, this is why I had so many years of crying. This is why I had that moment on the bed and I said, I'm going to figure this out. And I've been a different person. Even if everything in my life wasn't figured out, I still felt on top of the world. I was still glowing regardless of what my external reality was. My internal reality was still keeping me safe, was still keeping me protected, was still aligning me with the right people, was still connecting me to people who were all around the whole entire world. Like I still remember the names of my very first clients that I've had that I just literally was like, okay, this is a 30-minute session with me and I'll do some tarot or I'll like use my intuition or I'll just like help you meditate. And it was very just like, just send me a couple bucks, so I can live on the road and like be off the grid or whatever the hell and just like do my thing. And I wasn't really off the grid, but I was like calling it off the grid because I thought I was just like a nomad and like so awesome. And so what was so impactful of that experience, I think, was choosing, I mean, of course, helping people, right, across the world with certain things where like I've never felt better, and like actually caring about the people that I was serving. Of course, that was super impactful. What was also impactful was feeling the birth of something new and being able to like choose this new identity of who I was and how I can help serve the people. Because at the end of the day, I always knew that I was a people person. I always knew that like, even when I was doing makeup, I was helping, I was healing in some sort of way. I was making them feel more beautiful. I was making them feel more confident. And a lot of times the models that you're working on or the people, when you're doing their makeup for a wedding, they're not feeling like their best self. And so you have to be like their champion in that moment and shift that energy so that they can be a badass in the photos and the videos and walk down that aisle with confidence. And so I knew that that was already like natural for me to connect to people, to have those relationships, to make them feel better. And but now I had this gift and I was like, well, okay, if I have to like start doing this for real now, and this is where the universe is sending me, like, what do I call myself? Like what is, I feel like I wanted to take myself out of it. I wanted to take Melody out of it for a while because I was like, it's not about me, it's about the person. And I want to just help awaken them. Like I've awakened and I was like awakening. And I was into X-Men at the time. And my middle name is Unique. And then I just was like Mystique. And I almost used mystic. I was almost going to say Mystic Awakening because I wanted to awaken people to their own mysticism or the mysticism of the world. But I was like, maybe it should just be a persona. And so I said Mystique Awakening, and it just clicked because again, Melody, Unique, and then Mystique, like it all just made sense. And that's how I started. And then from there, a lot of you already know my story. I was homeless for about 2 months or so and then got back on track, moved back home, and I became Reiki certified. And so I actually had a certification under my belt to provide distance healing to the world. And then I created TikTok, and honestly, the rest from there is pretty much history. And I want to take this moment as you've listened to my story and how Mystique Awakening was born, knowing that I'm 4 or 5 years out, on this mission. I want to take this time to thank you for the time, the energy, and the attention that you've not only given me here in the space of this podcast episode, but throughout the years. Even if you have only met me last week, maybe. Thank you for that time still too. Thank you for anyone who's ever watched any of my videos, who's ever liked or commented or subscribed or followed or had a session with me, especially in the earlier days where I was just trying to like get on my feet and have a sustainable business that I would be able to support myself, with, where I didn't have to rely on anyone else's income to survive. Um, and I just want to offer so much gratitude and so much love to the support that you have all been able to give me for all these years. And I started from very humble beginnings. I will continue to be humble and hold that as, you know, something that's very virtuous to me. And from the beginning, I remember telling myself, like, okay, now I got Mystique Awakening. Like, I just want to help heal the world one soul at a time. Like, I just want to help heal the world. And I can do so one soul at a time. And what's kind of ironic is that when I went on TikTok, I started to heal the world like many souls at a time. And I was like, oh wait, like I can do this on a larger scale. And obviously that blew up. And 5 years later, we're blowing up on YouTube, we're blowing up on Instagram. I know this podcast is going to blow up because it's real, it's true, it's authentic, it's stripped back. I'm not giving you anything that's fluffy or generalized. Like I'm letting you know I'm another human. Like as much as I am Mystique Awakening, I am still also Melody. And I take this very, very seriously. And because I've been able to, not only heal myself and by bootstrapping it, by just getting the information, the resources that I could at that time and doing what I could with what I had, but then also getting certified as a Reiki master. Now I teach others how to become Reiki attuned and to heal, because why? It's so important to take healing into your own hands. And this past Sunday, I celebrated 4 years of my shamanic apprenticeship, which is my Native American traditional healing apprenticeship and training that I do every single Sunday or almost every single Sunday for the past 4 years. I've been invested in it. So not only do I take that beautiful electric energy of Reiki to heal the human body and bring it into balance, I can take that beautiful energy from Mother Earth as well and use both of those to bring the human body into balance. And it's been such an eye-opening experience to move through this business, and business itself is very spiritual, and to move through the different phases of Mystique Awakening and to find myself and to find her and to lose myself and to lose her, only to find myself and to find her all over again repeatedly and to find all of you. And I know that the more that I heal myself every single day, the more that I bring you this information, the more that I inspire you and awaken you to really tap into your own innate abilities of healing, to tap into your own intuition and understand the language that your intuition is talking to you in. I know that we are going to make this movement of healing together, of of having a wave of peace, like a domino effect, not only take over our lives, but take over the lives of every single person that we interact with, even if it's just eye contact and a head nod to someone who seems like they're going through a hard day, or you tapping into your own Reiki ability once you're attuned and then sending that over to a certain situation or a certain cause or a certain global tragedy. Like, I know that this work is important, and the movement that we are creating and the movement that you are also a part of now, being in the Mystique Awakening world, like it will impact the masses. It has impacted the masses. In the last 365 days, I believe my TikTok account of healing has reached about 54 million different users and viewers. And no, that's not just 54 million views in general. So it's like one person watches a video 10 times. It's like viewers, like it's individual accounts, individual people. And somehow within the past 365 days, my face, but less about me and my face, more so the healing energy has been able to come into different people's homes all around the world and impact them, even if only for a second, even if only for a moment. They still were able to receive it or come into contact with it or have that question of, what the heck is this? What is this girl doing waving her hands around a screen? Like, this is so wild, but why am I drawn in? Why do I like it? Why am I watching it for the fifth time? Why am I saving it? Why am I now hopping on her live stream? Why am I now in her free community? You know what? I understand why now. I needed this. I needed this. I'm gonna go into her world a little bit more. I'm gonna take healing into my own hands. I'm gonna do some Reiki training with her. I'm gonna go and join Beyond Balance so I can understand every single step that she took for herself. And I know it's going to work for me too, you know? And that truly is what Beyond Balance is. And you'll hear me say it over and over and over again, because when you have something that you know will change the world, don't stay silent about it, you know? And so you'll always hear me talk about Beyond Balance or even my private mentorship. And that's because every single thing that I did, that I talked to you about today, to get me from a state of being in a toxic relationship, having my energy drained, of not being able to brush my teeth, get up, eat, leave the house, clean my clothes or my room, like to a point where now I have a successful and scalable business, and I live for myself and I validate myself, and my relationships across the board are now healthy, and we have secure attachment styles instead of anxious attachment styles, and we've been able to manifest such wild things that I would not have ever been able to think of or dream of, and coming from a place of instability, living in my car for months and not knowing what was going to happen, but still having the blind faith that I was going to make it out anyway and make it out on top, like all of that All of that was done through energy healing. All of that was done through the techniques and the practices and the tools that I share with you inside of Beyond Balance. And I will die on the hill that you all need to be a part of the Beyond Balance program. Even if you're already attuned to Reiki, we don't attune you to Reiki in that particular program, but even if you consider yourself to be a healer, you already know Reiki, you're still going to learn something from the Beyond Balance program. Even if you've been in the game for a long time, but you're still not where you want to be yet in life, go back to the basics. It's okay. Like it's a program that I want you guys to consider not just like information to absorb, but it's like a way of life. It's a lifestyle that you get to cultivate. And when you take those practices and implement them every single day consistently, I did it for a whole entire year. And I was in the depths of my depression. But I did it every single day for a year. If I can do that, you can do it. And you can do it for the short 4 weeks that I give to you. Now, of course, I would love for you to take what's inside of that program, blend it, make it your own, and stay consistent for the rest of your life and keep tweaking what your own routines and regimens are of energy healing. But if you don't really have that base, if you don't really know where to start, or maybe you started with different other things and it's still not clicking, go to the Beyond Balance program. Start there. I'm only asking you to do it consistently for 4 weeks when I had to do it consistently for over a year, you know? So if there is any value that you got from this podcast, I want you to share with me something that you resonate with, something that you're going to take with you, some sort of insight that you know is going to help you. And let me know in the comments. Again, send me an email. I don't bite. Get into my free community. Go into the Share Your Wins tab and say, hey, I listened to this podcast and it was like, it was intense. I was awakened in the process of just listening to this. And if you feel that you resonate with this, I would love for you to share this podcast on your Instagram stories, tag me, let me know, and I'll send you a little gift. I'll send you a little gift um, to help you come into my world a little bit more, a little bit closer. If you're needing some help, if you're needing some support, then I'll give you a little gift to make that easier for you. I love to do podcast giveaways. And so right now, this is just a form of that where I get to pay it forward. I get to pay your support forward in supporting you in any way that I can. So please use this opportunity to share me on your Instagram stories, tag me. I'll send you a little emoji letting you know, hey, I saw you. Thanks so much for listening. I'm glad you got something out of it. And then we can start our healing journey together. But I love you so, so much, you beautiful, healing soul. And I will see you in the next one.